wherever you join. Welcome to day 13 of Copilot Studio training program. This is one more advanced class on top of the things that we have learned so far. And today we are reaching to 13th number of class. This class is this week's last class. Next week we will have another three classes. This will be the highest level of complexity that you can achieve in the Copilot Studio. So whatever you are learning so far, on top of it, this is like a last level. On top of that, you can't do any level of customization at this point on August 2025. In future, let's see what level of new things come up into the picture, but this is what is available at this point in the Copilot Studio. We are going to cover up everything. Next three class that are remaining, it's all about the governance class, it's all about the deployment, it's all about the security, it's all about how you can maintain the log, how you can preserve the chat history. There are so many things. That is something we are going to talk about. It's more like an administrative plus governance plus security is all about next three classes. Okay, but at least the agent development part, today's class is very, very important. Today we are going to talk about the much awaited topic MCP server. What is that? And multi-agent capability, which is also a very new capability that Microsoft has introduced. And both of this concept are the future. All the future agents will be definitely be built on based on these two concepts. So today we are first going to start our journey with the MCP server. Let's take an introduction of what is MCP, what is that, what we can achieve with that. MCP server, what are the key terminology which we need to understand before we get started. What are the out of the box MCP server connectors available. How you can connect any third party MCP server within your Copilot Studio. We'll see some case studies around that, and at last we'll go with the multi-agent capability in the Copilot Studio, where we will connect one agent with another agent. Or maybe, let's say for an example, sometimes you have multiple agent, and on top of that there is one parent head agent which is managing all your child agent. How you can create that kind of structure architecture wise in Copilot agent, we'll see about those things in detail. Today's session will give you many answer that why in Copilot Studio as well. Some of the terminology is like tools, action, prompt, all of those things that we learned so far. We'll talk about that in detail. Okay, so without further delay, let's get started. First about the MCP server introduction. Okay, so before we get started, let me just do a quick revision over here. So far, this is what we learn over here. And why I'm saying is because these are the terminology which I'm going to definitely use into this particular session. So in knowledge, specifically when we were creating any agent, we know that we can do the knowledge. Knowledge means the behind the scene knowledge source which you can connect. You can connect any kind of knowledge source which are available at this point in the Copilot Studio file or SharePoint or Dataverse or public site or anything. We talked about the tools. In tools as well, there are different flavors. We talked about that as well. So when we look at the tool, we discussed about prompt already. What is prompt? We talked about agent flow already. We talked about custom connector already. Now this is the one model context protocol. That's something we are going to uncover today. And apart from that, when we go to the topic section over here, these are all the topics where how your conversation is starting and ending, that is based on the topic. Okay, this is a quick revision of that. Now, let me talk about what do we mean by MCP server. But before that, let me just talk about this, some sort of story around this, like why this concept model context protocol is come up into the picture over here. Okay, MCP means model context protocol. Okay, now let me just talk about this thing over here into this fashion. Uh, just remember those days, not today's world. We are charging our mobile with the help of USB-C cable, right? Similar way, nowadays, many electronic devices that you are buying in the market, they are having the universal port, USB port, right? So consider what is the purpose of USB ports, why they have introduced that. Because you don't need to have the different charger for the different device. One universal port and your thing is done. Like people don't need to spend, or maybe people don't need to arrange lots of charger. Still, if you have older devices, probably you will face the problem that you have different thing for your mobile, different thing for your maybe trim streamers, different thing for your alarm clock if you are having some different charging type over there, right? So USB, think like a USB port, which is a universal port, which is useful in a way that okay, in any part of the world you will go, USB port C port will remain the same. With that, you just plug it and you can do whatever thing you are achieving that. Okay, now the thing is that in AI world as well, MCP is like USB-C kind of thing. Okay, why? Let me talk about that. Just imagine in currently right now, what happened here is, let's say for an example, I'm a person. Okay, let's say I'm running my company. I'm using Dataverse as a system. So what I'm doing here is whenever I'm building any AI application, behind the scene, my knowledge base will be my Dataverse. Uh, of course, large language model will be there, maybe your GPT model or any other model. On top of that, your Dataverse will be there. Let's say, for an example, you have trained your model with some sort of public facing site. So your public facing site will be there, right? You have provided some sort of tools like prompts you have provided, or maybe you provided some sort of connector action like create an item or update an item and so many things, right? We have used that in all our use cases in the previous classes, right? So this is how the traditional Copilot development is going on right now, right? Now the biggest problem is at this point is like everyone is using their own base model, means large language model, plus on top of that they are doing this whole activity, right? So there is no centralized way. Now let's say for an example, tomorrow let's say for an example, Amazon or Flipkart or maybe Air India or Indigo, any big companies has built their own AI model, right? And now let's say for an example, just forget about they haven't used GPT model. Maybe they have used some DeepSeek model behind the scene to as a large language model base reference. On top of that, they have so many methods like create a record or insert a record or fetch the record or create a booking or get the booking or track the booking or check the PNR status, right? So many things are there. As well as they have their own website as a knowledge source where if people are searching, they are getting the answer, right? Let's say for an example, this is something which is built by Indigo, Air India, or any other third party provider, right? Now the question arises that okay, they have built it for themselves, it is into their infrastructure, right? Now let's say as a consumer, let's say Indigo, Flipkart, or maybe in those websites, right? They are not just a single source of selling the thing, right? I mean, when you buy any particular ticket, not only from Air India website, but you can use any third party website as well to book the tickets, right? So maybe you want to have AI capability over there, like, okay, AI based search, AI based retrieval, AI based action, right? So how that can be happen? Because that particular company has built the entire AI in context of their domain, right? Now, let's say for an example, there is what's the way that okay, any third party want to use it. You know how we are consuming the APIs, like they provide the endpoint and you call the endpoint and you know it's available everything for you. So now what is the gateway? What is the entry point for large language model in order to make this happen universally without making so much change or without making lots of infrastructure change at your things or at your models that you have built at the AI level, right? For that, this model context protocol come up into picture, and that will be the entry point for large language model to make or understand the human language query in a natural language, and according to that it will answer it out. Okay, now let me try, this is like a just a base background that why they have introduced that, what's the purpose of that, right? Now let's look at some theoretical definition of MCP server, and let's talk about that in detail. So if I simplified this thing in a very simple word for any AI application, this is like their base framework. Always they have large language model, which means your GPT model, DeepSeek model, or any other model that you want to use as your base model. So Copilot Studio, currently we are using GPT as our base model 4.0 or 4.0 mini. Okay. On top of that, you are having tools and knowledge. Knowledge means we know we can train our knowledge source, right? We can train with the files, we can train with the SharePoint, Dataverse, right? So many things on the top. And tools. Tools means we know that tools is a combination of so many different things. You can add the different connect connection, you can add agent flow over there, you can add custom connector over there, right? So many things. So these are called as a tools, right? So any AI application consists this particular things, right? Now let's talk about what do we mean by MCP over here. So MCP is basically stands for Model Context Protocol. And who built this MCP? There is a company called Anthropic who is working actively on the Model Context Protocol. This is a fairly very new concept. From this year onwards, it start picking up this particular concept. Okay, still in the market, you will be see very less use cases around that where people started using it drastically. Its consumption is not drastic at this point, so still use cases are people are still under that your testing and how it's behaving and on that part. So Anthropic is a company who is specifically working on this model context protocol. So basically this is a standardized way for LLM to interact with tools, APIs, and knowledge base like databases or any documents. And as I said, it's just like a USB-C for AI application, a universal connector between large language model or any other external sources. Okay. Now, why do we need MCP, right? As I say that there are many things over there, right? So number one is currently the what is the limitation with the large language model right now? Large language model has a limitation that it is trained on some sort of parameters. So let's say your GPT model is there, right? So your base model is trained on some sort of model. Okay. So it's having the limited training data. Okay. At the time, it is again using the web search or any other things to get the latest information from the portal, right? If you recall, when ChatGPT was introduced, there are certain set of GPT model where they have make a disclaimer that okay, this model is trained up to December 2020 data, so you will not get the latest information from that, right? That was the limitation of that particular model because they haven't trained the model in a fashion that it has all the latest information. So latest GPT model have a capability of web search. So whatever you are typing, it's just not looking at the large language model, but looking at the web source result and club it and combine it and show it to you as a result. Okay, so that was the earlier AI application. After that, next level, what happens? The one that we are building right now, right? With Copilot Studio or Azure AI Foundry or something. So we are using base model, and on top of that, we are using tools, knowledge, and so many other things, right? Now, with this approach as well, currently, with what is the problem? The problem is that, like, currently we don't have the flexibility that okay, I build up in my Copilot agent. Let's say I build my Azure Analyzer agent, right? Now, let's say for an example, I build it on the large language model, plus I utilize some of the knowledge bases as well as some of the actions or some of the tools over there, right? But again, the limitation or limited functionality is that, let's say for an example, in the future, if there is if someone has built a better LLM for you or better agent over there or better methods over there, if you want to consume it out still with large language models entry point, you are not able to do that. And these are the reason why they have introduced now the LLM as a capability to any AI tool. So what happened is you can consume that universal protocol and SDK that can connect easily with any tools or any knowledge sources which are available for an LLM. Okay. Now let me talk about this official documentation of Microsoft as well as official documentation of LLM as well. Okay, so this is the official website of MCP protocol, Model Context Protocol. So modelcontextprotocol.io, and as I said, Anthropy is the company who has actively working on this whole model context protocol. Okay, now again, same things are mentioned over here. If you want to read more on that, again, they clearly specified what I just explained to you. So it's an open protocol that standardizes how application provide context to the large language models. Think of MCP like a USB port for an AI application, just as USB-C provides the standardized way to connect your devices to various accessories. MCP provides a standardized way to connect AI model to different data sources and tools. MCP enables you to build agents and complex workflow on top of LLMs and connects your model with the world. Okay, this is a very simple definition over here. Okay, now the question arises in our mind that how MCP is working and what are the behind the scene principle of MCP. Okay, and when you see the demo, you will get a better idea at that time. But again, some theoretical point definitely I need to talk about before I get started, because these terminologies are very, very important. Okay, now what happen here is, when you generally how MCP works, right? When we see the demo, this section will be, you will be able to relate more around that. Okay, but let me just talk about at the very high level over here as well, that what Microsoft has provided as an existing, I mean, as per the documentation. Okay, so basically this is the title, and title itself is saying so many things. So extend your agent. So what we are doing with MCP, we are extending our current agent flexibility or current agent capability to the next level with the MCP. So currently we are limited to the certain things, certain connectors are available, certain knowledge sources you are connecting, right? There is no way to connect to third party AI model. Let's say for an example, I build my LLM, I build one AI application on top of DeepSeek with some sort of knowledge source and some sort of tools. I'm not able to consume that out somehow in my Copilot Studio. So they have make that entry point now, that okay, you are now open if you are having MCP server available for your that AI application, and if you want to connect or if you want to call that AI application from this, and you just want to use this Copilot Studio as a client where you can make a prompt, and those prompts will go to your MCP and MCP will respond the whole response to you. It is possible now. Okay, so that's why they are telling that extend your agent capability with MCP. Okay, and again the same thing that they are saying is MCP allows you to connect with existing knowledge server or data sources directly within Copilot Studio, and connecting to MCP server gives you the access of all the resources, tools, and prompt which that AI model has have over there. Okay, so this is all about uh, MCP. Okay, now they have make a note itself right now that Copilot Studio currently only support the tools from the MCP. Okay, now what do we mean by tools? We already know it now. Tools, knowledge, and prompt. Okay, three different things are there. So currently, although MCP provide the full-fledged flexibility, but Copilot Studio right now has this limitation that okay, even though you connect your MCP server, from your MCP server, you can only be able to access the tools. Tools can be anything. It can be any of the action written behind the scene by a MCP server. Okay, now let's talk about how this overall MCP components are looking like. Okay, so if we look at the very high level, okay, so MCP has core part as the large language model. It is the heart of the AI application which makes the smart decision. Large language model is always there behind the scene to support whole LLM. Okay, next is this two terminology you need to consider in your mind: MCP client and MCP server. Okay, client means it acts as an interface for the LLM to discover and use the tools, and server means it hosts the tools or resources or prompt to expose them using a standard protocol. Okay, so what happen here is, and again, like in server, it can be anything. It can be your tools, it can be your resources, and it can be your prompt. So server has three particular things over there underneath that, like tools, resources means knowledge sources, prompt means know what kind of prompt we can do, and tools means any kind of different actions or things that you have defined. Okay, so think in this way, you know, MCP component, if you want to understand it in this particular fashion, let's say for an example, I have a Python based application where I have used one Sonnet model as my base model. Okay, Sonnet is again a very large language model. Okay, on top of that, I built some tool action and those particular things, right? So now what happened here is that particular large language model is the heart of the AI application. Okay, that is something which is having different tools, different action, different knowledge source on top of the large language model. So MCP server will be there, right? And MCP client will be what? It is an acting as an interface. It can be anything from where you are calling it, right? So maybe if you are calling it from Copilot Studio, so Copilot Studio will be your client from where you start your prompt. So when you start making your prompt from Copilot Studio and calling that server, MCP server, behind the scene, it uses all three objects plus the heart of the LLM and giving you the fine-tuned result over there. Okay, so this is how the workflow of the overall thing looks like. So generally, MCP client, MCP server, and LLM. Okay, these are the main key things. Okay, when we look at this, when we create our first MCP server or MCP server connection into Copilot Studio, you will be able to relate this thing out little bit. Okay, currently, if you are not clear, don't worry about this too much. You do, I mean, it's not like technically you need to know each and everything about it, but client server, it's just like any server architecture or any client server mechanism that we are following onto any world of technology. It's the similar thing. Okay, so basically MCP client read the MCP server from the config and send the list, tools, resources, and prompt calls, and server will be respond according to that. And LLM is executing and what is the duty of the LLM to pick up the right tool and extract the parameters in a natural language. We will see that practically, so you will get a better idea around that. Okay, but this is how the overall things looks like. Okay, now what will be the implementation guide? I'm not going to talk about right now because we are going to see it practically. So generally, MCP server, again, like same like custom connector, guys. Okay, MCP server creation process is a complex process. If you are building any MCP server from the code based programming, it is requiring lots of knowledge. It requires the TypeScript knowledge, it requires React knowledge, it requires that particular framework knowledge where you are building your MCP server. Okay, so generally what happens is, think in this way. I'm explaining in a very simple world. You know how in the custom connector, your customers are providing the API and you are not caring that how that API is built, whether it's a web service or whether it's a web API or whether it's a SAML based API or whether it's a Python based API. You don't care, right? Like how it's built. You only care about the endpoint. So you hit the endpoint and you are doing all your activity. Exactly the similar concept is there in AI based application. It's called as a MCP server. That's the reason why I told you in the past, right? In the future, futuristic, like currently, the web application developer roles are there in the market, right? In future, this demand is going to be definitely going to increase because all the companies will start building their own MCP server so that they can survive the AI need of the organization. And that's the reason people who are building those servers, those developers demands are going to increase as well. Again, that is more pro code technology, but yeah, one future role I can clearly see as a high visibility in the future is this MCP. Same like, currently generally in job description you are writing that you should have knowledge of web services or web API and blah blah blah, so many, when any code based programming person is hired, right? So in future this would be the definitely the next added point, like MCP. So you should have knowledge on the base context of the AI model. And again, it's not complex, guys. It's again like I have read through some of the articles around that how you can build up your own server. So it's like same terminology that we are using in the Copilot Studio right now, like tools, knowledge, and prompt. Exact same terminology is there as well in the MCP server creation, but again, it's more code. So you need to write a code, and according to that, you make a connection and you retrieve the data. And again, it's based on some large language model. Okay, so it's like that. So MCP server creation part is totally the pro code developer part. Now what happens is, once the server is created, they host that server somewhere. It can be anywhere. It's a cloud based server or it's a local server, or how they are hosting it, it's totally up to them. Okay, now what happens is, when MCP server is hosted, it will give you the endpoint similar like your HTTP. As I said, MCP is nothing but a protocol, right? So at the end, it will give you some sort of secure endpoint using which you can connect with your transport layer as well as data layer, everything, right? So this is like a first step, like somewhere in the background there should be MCP server present to do the whole AI logic. After that, what happens is they will provide you the endpoint. Okay, and the thing is that that endpoint somehow we need to connect to our Copilot Studio, and for that Microsoft come up with a mechanism that, okay, we already having the custom connector functionality in our Power Platform. Within the same custom connector, how you connect your APIs or web service calls or web API calls, same way you can connect your MCP server as well. Little bit methodology is different, but almost same. Okay, and the last is to consume that. As soon as you connect your MCP server via custom connector, it will be available in the Copilot Studio to use it out, and it will support that whole natural language, and you will be able to relate it out. Okay, now There are so many different use cases which you can achieve with the help of MCP server. Right now, very limited MCP servers are available in the market to test because people are still under development. People are still, it's not available like in a very wide range at this point. Almost like a big companies like Google, and they already started building up the MCP server. And if you search on the internet Google MCP server, they have lots of paid thing already available. They already built their MCP server with come up with a subscription. You buy it, they will give you the endpoint, you just connect with your agent, and now you are good to utilize all those things over there. But again, power with more AI. Okay, because difference between web API and web services in between MCP, there is no comparison at all. But still, if I'm just explaining this in a simple word, how the previous era was all about API and all, futuristic area will move towards more MCP. So in future, maybe after 2, 3, or 5 years, or I don't know the duration. Like even I'm thinking the simple application, like if someone is building something in .NET or someone is building into Python, I'm just thinking that people will straightforward call the MCP servers rather than the API call in the future. That whole infra, because everywhere everyone is adopting the AI, and future is that, of course. So I don't know the duration, but in future people will start adopting that somehow here and there. Obviously not now because already people did heavy investment on the current development and all. But in future, and companies like Google already started doing this thing. Their MCP servers are available. So you can buy it. You know how you buy the Facebook token or Google Maps token earlier in the past, same way you can buy the token for the MCP server. And basically that's something you can connect wherever you wish. Okay, now we will see some practical use cases around that. And we will do our first MCP server connection as well, which I'll provide you one MCP server Microsoft hosted freely on their cloud, and they provided endpoint as well, so we can connect it out. We can try it out and test it out, so at least we can understand the concept of whole MCP server, that how it's working and all. And this whole theory we understand, we are able to understand and relate that over there. Okay, so so many different use cases you can achieve. Like sometimes you want to connect any real-time sales data from your ERP. So create a MCP for that ERP, connect that endpoint in Copilot Studio, and you are all done. You want to do any HRMS system, or let's say for an example, if you want to do any approval process with MCP connected logic modules, or any graph call you want to directly call with MCP, you can able to do that. Okay, in the world of Microsoft already launched couple of MCP server, which is making our life much more easier. And hoping in the future Microsoft will launch all the native MCP servers, because Microsoft also has the need. Okay, now let me show you why. Okay, so let's say for an example, currently I'm in this agent. When you go to the tool option over here and go to the add tool option, okay, and at the time click on this MCP protocol, MCP model context protocol. You can see some of the tools are already available over here. These all are the ready-made MCP server. Okay, ready-made, why I'm saying is this is something which is deployed by Microsoft. This is like, how we are having the connectors with so many third-party providers and all. Now this is becoming popular. So what happened is all their product partner like DocuSign, right? They are having their own product. They are having their different endpoint to call, right? So their MCP server is also available over here as a natively. I mean, you don't need to do any extra thing for that. In future, this list is definitely going to be increased. Salesforce already has its MCP server. Microsoft Learn Document already has its MCP server. Okay, Box MCP server, Dynamics 365. Then this is like Genie actions. Then this is a Custo query, GitHub MCP server, Jira MCP server. Outlook has also contact management and email management. Dynamics 365, Dataverse also has an MCP server. ERP also has an MCP server, right? So these are all the native out of the box MCP server. Okay. Now there is a need as well that you find some better MCP server which is not present over here. If you want to connect, you can connect that as well. But for that, you need to connect via custom connector. Okay, so we will see our first use case in today's class about it. Okay, so my first use case is I want to, and again, this is the example which I have picked up from the official Microsoft site itself. Okay, and Microsoft it themselves has provided this particular endpoint URL as well for MCP server. Okay, just for learning purpose, because right now very less resources are there. That's why they have supplied it. Okay, earlier they have added one more MCP server as well for the practice, but now they have deprecated that. So we are not be able to do that, but at least I will showcase you the process. So you will get a better understanding around that. Okay, so let me just expand these both the things, and let me just talk about over here in this detail thing. Okay, now let me just talk about this particular thing first. Okay, what is MCP server connectors over here? All right, so first of all, let me just talk about this terminology over here. Okay, so generally whenever you are building any kind of MCP, whenever you are connecting any MCP protocol by any third party provider, okay, it is providing you two type of thing: transport type, streamable and SAC. Okay, streamable means, I mean, this is the type that how they are streaming that content over there. And SAC, these are the two terminology of transport type. Honestly, I didn't go into too deep dive into technical level of that. Just imagine in web service and web API as well. If you are having the different type, right? That how your API is going to behave or how your API going to respond, right? Generally in any kind of API, there are two type of responses. Either they respond in form of JSON or sometimes they respond in form of XML, right? So uh, here as well, transport layer, it's not related to exactly like that, but streamable and SSE, these are the two type of transport layers that they are offering. And what Microsoft is recommending is both are supported, but we generally recommend you to use the streamable uh, uh, MCP connector. Okay. Now configuring the MCP connector is not like a very big task. It's fairly very simple. Okay, so now I'm going to showcase you that entire process from scratch. Okay, and first we are going to talk about the Microsoft Learn MCP server that I'm going to connect over here first with the help of Copilot agent. Okay, so let me search on this Microsoft Learn MCP server. Okay, when you search on the internet, this is what the official documentation open on the Microsoft Learn MCP server. And what they are telling is this is their endpoint. So if I copy this endpoint and hit enter, it will tell you that this is a MCP server endpoint and cannot access directly via browser or unsupported transport like SSE. Please use a streamable HTTP transport. You know that two terminology I talked about, that SSE and streamable, right? So it is saying that use proper streamable HTTP transport. For more details, visit this particular thing. Okay, this is what it is saying me. Now the thing is that what this Microsoft Learn MCP server looks like. So what Microsoft has done, they have Microsoft Learn website where they have different documentation and our, right? So they already have the big knowledge sources over there, right? Now when you search anything, basically it will search from that particular large language model with which they have trained their whole server, and based on that it will respond to you. Okay, now how to connect this thing out? Let's get started and talk about that. So for there are different ways to do the different MCP servers. Okay, let's say for an example, sometimes you are already having this kind of endpoint available with you for third-party MCP server. At the time, what you can do is simply go to the Copilot Studio here and go to your environment. So this is my environment, Copilot Studio Bash 23 Dev. Okay, now what you need to do is simply need to go to the custom connector. Okay, so go to the add tools section, and when you go to the new tool, there is a custom connector. Let's click on that. So basically this will redirect me to the PowerApps portal. Okay, now over here we need to do certain steps, and this steps is little bit different than the traditional custom connector creation process. What we need to do is click on new custom connector and do here, because this is something which is hosted on the GitHub already. So we'll use the import from GitHub. Okay. Now over here, choose the custom and dev branch over here, because These are the steps which are already mentioned to connect that particular MCP server. So that is something I'm performing it. Okay. And if it is from scratch, how to do it, I will talk about that as well. But let's talk about the easy one. So at least it is easy for understand terminology. So we talked about the custom dev branch, and now we just need to select the type over here, that what would be the type for your custom connector. Okay, so here I will just choose this one, MCP streamable, because this is what Microsoft recommend over here. There are different type over here like MCP SSE and MCP streamable. So streamable is something which we are using because that is recommended by Microsoft, but it supports both the thing. It's not necessary that this is supported versus not. This is again the detailing of the MCP server. So you can do that. Click on continue. As soon as you do this particular thing, it will do this kind of thing. Over here, you just need to change your host. Okay, so what is the host information which I'm been provided with? So if you look at this, this is my host, http learn.microsoft.com. So let's just supply that thing over here. So I'm just going here and I'm just applying this learn.microsoft.com, and after that HTTPS we already provided, so we just need to provide this one, learn.microsoft.com. And what would be the base URL over here? That /API/MCP. This is what we need to supply. So let's copy this and let's supply over here like /API/MCP. Okay, don't need to have any security or any definition or anything. Simply create a connector over here. Okay, and let's provide the proper name of the connector. So I'm just providing here that MS Learn MCP server, and click on create connector. I'm just clicking on create the connector. Will take some moments in order to create this thing out. Okay, and it's been created. Okay, you just need to go back now. Let's refresh this. Okay, and this is what you created. And now the thing is that your MCP server you connected, and now if you want to utilize into Copilot agent, just refresh here. Okay, and now I'm starting the new from scratch agent. I'm not doing it anywhere else. I'm just creating a new agent over here. Skip to configure, and I'll just do here MCP server demo for MS Learn. MS Learn MCP. Okay, let's click on create. And now if you go to the tool section specifically here, click on add tool. As soon as you click on add tool, go to the MCP protocol here. When you scroll it down, it should be available. Let's wait for a moment.
It's at the bottom. It's at the bottom.
Yes,
Scroll down.
just a minute. My screen is just frozen. Just give me a minute. Yes, it's connected. Just a minute. I just need to refresh my screen. It's simply creating it out right now. Let it to be created. Agent is getting created. This publish button is still not visible, so let this agent to be created first. Okay, now it's visible. Click on add tool, MCP, and now you can see this is what we just created, MCP server streamable HTTP, and this is the name of the connector we provided, MS Learn MCP server, right? Now what happened is your model context protocol is available. Click on that. As soon as you click on that, it will first ask you to create a connection. So you will create a connection over here. And now let's click on create. And now click on add and configure. And here I am. And now this is where you can see the power of MCP. Now let me tell you. In the theory, we understand one particular thing, that as soon as you connect your MCP server, basically it will expose all the tools which are available for that MCP server. Okay, so what happened here is you can see when you have added that this tools is automatically available over here. So what happened is Microsoft has behind the scene their own AI server where they have hosted this thing. They have this one tool method called Microsoft underscore doc underscore search. And what exactly it does, they have provided this description over here that search the official Microsoft or Azure documentation to find the most relevant and trustworthy content for the user's query. This tool return up to 10 high quality content chunks, each maximum 500 token extracted from the Microsoft Learn and the other official sources. Each result includes the article title, URL, and self-contained context optimized for the faster retrieval and reasoning. Always use this tool to quickly ground your answer into accurate first-party Microsoft Azure knowledge source and the question parameter is deprecated, use the query instead. Okay, just ignore this and yes, this is available. Now, what is the beauty of this? Let me tell you. Currently, with the custom connector as well, guys, what is the limitation? Custom connector level, if you are calling any API method, right, you need to add that entire API method by your own. So let's say if there is an API method to get a currency rate, right? So we added that whole method, we added the request parameter and we did this whole change. Now where this come up as a powerful thing, let me tell you. Here you didn't define any method. Now in future, if Microsoft is making any change into this method on their server, it will automatically reflect here. You don't need to even click on refresh over here. Next time when you open, it always call that latest method because here you are not hosting any kind of method. You just make an entry to your large language model via connector. That endpoint was provided. So behind the scene, you don't know how that whole MCP server is built in the background, right? But what you do is you just consume that endpoint, you use it. Now in future, let's say right now they have only this one tool method. Let's say in future, they are having 10 different tool method. You will be having 10 different tools automatically appear over here. It can understand this context. And now what would be the role over here? So now from here, whenever you make any particular call, right? And again, like this particular Copilot Studio, we know that it supports the generative AI orchestration, right? So when you make any query, it knows that what to call, right? So what happens is as soon as it look at the things over here, right, it will start making a call on the MCP server. So this will become the entry point. So from here your query will transfer to your MCP server. Now what happens is in MCP server there are different methods, right? So it will automatically decide that okay, over here let's say 15 methods are available, then out of those 15 which method to call. That whole infra MCP client will decide that okay, to which tool I need to call. We will create another MCP so you will get a better idea. But let's just first taste with the simple one. And in future, if they introduce something new, it will automatically reflect over here. Okay, you don't need to do any single line of configuration over here. Once you do it, you are all set. Okay, now let me just make some query over here. Okay, so I'm just making one query over here, how to create MCP connection with Copilot Studio. Okay, because it's more knowledge source on that. Now, let me just turn on this as well. Let me just make it the connection. So you click on connection manager when you are making the query for the very first time. Make sure your MCP server is connected. So I'm just clicking on connect. It's just a one-time process. Create and pick the connection. Yes, this is what it is. And click on submit. As soon as you do that, this is connected. Now let me make the query again. And now you can see as soon as I make the query, it automatically understand. And what happened is it just go to your MCP knowledge source and just giving me the result over here. Let me just restart this thing completely out over here. Okay. And let me do one more thing as well. To not become my agent over smart, I'm just turning off this thing as well. Use general knowledge. So we can prove that it is searching from your MCP, not anywhere else. So we just turned off that thing. Okay. And what I'm doing here is I'll just provide one side of prompt as well. So this is my when someone asks any question, use to search. Okay, I'm just making this instruction. Click on save. Okay, and now let me just make a query. How to connect MCP in Copilot Studio. Okay, so when you make this thing, let's look at the stuff, and you can see this is what it is calling your MCP streamable HTTP, and inside that you can see the word tool. So tool is nothing but behind the scene method for that. It just pick up this, and maybe if it is unable to understand, maybe it will prompt you again that what's your question. Maybe if it is unable to directly understand that, so maybe you can just ask this thing again to it. Okay, and when you do that, it just search particular for that query. It is just saying me that give me the details of topic. The question has been changed to the topic. It's just getting confused. Just a minute. Let me write ask some better question over here. What is Power Apps? Okay. It still didn't able to understand this particular question. Okay, now let's do one thing. Go to the tools again. Open your MCP server. Okay, and click on the advanced detail over here. Go to the tools option. Ask end user before running. No, that's fine. End user, no, we just do the maker provider authentication. We don't want to do any change over here. And MCP server streamable HTTP, and we'll just make it like MS learn server. No other configuration is required here. Fine. Also working fine. Let's refresh this. Maybe from here it just getting confused. Let me remove instruction maybe for time being. Let's just naturally behave it out how it goes. Hey, tell me what is Power Apps. Hopefully, let's see if this time the question or topic about Microsoft or
We
Azure
just
product.
yes, just yes,
Just a minute, I'm just
yes,
going
over
here.
Ruben.
Sorry, are you
You
saying
can you
something?
can write yes over here. Yeah, you can write
Yeah, maybe you
yes.
are right. Let's see. I don't know. Escalating the question. No, it's just going to escalation. Yesterday it was not throwing this thing. Just a minute. Let me just quickly check this out because when we connected this thing out, the question parameter is deprecated. Use query instead. We are not doing any parameters from here. I mean, it's automatically decided over here. So just a minute. Let me do one thing. Let me try. Maybe it's a problem with all the MCP right now because till yesterday it was fine. Let me see. On other environment, I have the exact same thing. Let me check this out. Because on that we don't have much control over the MCP tools. MCP server stream. Let me just. No, it's not giving the answer from it. It just uses the general language for that. Let me type like this. Query, what is power apps? And question. This is not giving us the result. Even I'm trying to type something, it's not. I try to provide it, but it's not unable to understand the context. Anyway, that's fine. Let me just do one thing. This server is also available as a native way itself. Let me try to connect that if we are able to get an answer from that. So I'm clicking on add tool here. If you go to a MCP, here itself it's available. Microsoft Learn Docs MCP server. Maybe let me connect this out. It's a ready-made one. Let me create this. Maybe if it is giving the answer, let's see that. Because I'm pretty sure till yesterday it was working absolutely fine, that MCP server. So this is what it is. And again, it has the same exact method. Okay. So again, like they provided this as native as well. So I'm just having this now. And now what I'm doing here is I'm just going here. I'm turning off my custom one that I created. And I just enable this one right now. Okay. And now let me ask now type of power apps. Let me reset everything. Let's see if the native one is working or not, or otherwise if there should be some issue on their end, maybe we can assume that we'll try with some different MCP server. Okay, let's see. Submit. Let me type it again. type of power apps. The native one as well, it's throwing an error. So I think something is being changed over there on the MCP server side. So even native one is asking me the question again and again. Uh, Specific question, what is power app slicer? This is my question. It's not picking up. So let's park it. This MCP server is not giving us an answer. Okay. But the main learning is testing is failed. It's not working. I agree. No matter we connected the same MCP server. Uh, Behind the scene in a native way or a custom way. Anyway, any one of them is not working. So I'm just turning that on. But what is the main key learning from this particular exercise is how to connect this thing out. Okay, connection is absolutely fine. It's just a matter that MCP server level behind the scene underneath this method, the tool name method, this method has a problem which is not able to understand the context from your client application over here. So this is where the problem is. So it is unable to answer it out. If it is able to understand, it will give us the exact accurate result. And again, like to what is there behind the scene in this method, we can't know it at this point because it's hosted on their own server. We are just consuming the endpoint. So we will not be able to get the things that why it's not responding. Maybe there is some problem over there. Maybe sometimes later if we try, it can be available. Okay, because it's not something that we have used this method anywhere. We are just the consumer. So this is what it is giving us an answer. All right. So this is one way. Okay. Now let me tell you what there is one more other way as well to connect with the MCP server. Okay. Now let me talk about one more use case. Again, that use case is not in a functional way, but this is another method. Maybe this is something which is definitely required in the future for whenever you are buying any third party MCP server, and if you want to connect it out, what is the methodology there? Okay. That MCP server, the first one that we connected because it was hosted on the GitHub via URL, and we just connected it out. Okay. But sometimes what happen here is like MCP server provider are providing you this kind of YAML schema. Okay. Now, if you want to connect, like this is one of the MCP server they have provided earlier. Now they just stopped this whole YAML server. So practically you can't be able to test this thing out, but at least you will be able to understand that if you want to create this type of MCP server, what are the different ways to do that? Okay. So here they have provided both the kind of YAML schema, streamable and non-streamable. So you can see that this is the example of YAML streamable, which is recommended. And this is second type of transport SAC. So this is what it is. Okay. Now this is Contoso lead management server. Okay. Now what I'm doing here is if I want to connect this lead management MCP server, okay, copy this kind of schema. I mean, many content providers are providing this kind of YAML schema for MCP. What you need to go here is just go here. Now you just need to go to the custom connector part over here again. So let me just close all the unnecessary thing that I'm having here. And I'm just going to the custom connector. Click on new custom connector and create it from blank. Okay. I'm just providing that Contoso MCP demo. Click on continue. And what you need to do is simply don't need to do anything. Click on Swagger editor over here. As soon as you click on that, it will open up this kind of Swagger interface to you. What you need to do is same like custom connector, provide the same schema that they have supplied over here for lead management. Okay, behind the scene, what it uses this kind of post call and all, you don't need to worry about that. But this is like the whole schema for invoke that MCP and calling that particular method from there. Okay, once you are done, click on connector. Again, like here as well in MCP world as well, there are authentication and all are available. So generally it is based on the barrier token most of the time. So when you search on the Google on Google MCP server or something, they are having their own barrier token and they will also provide you the similar kind of token. So it's just a matter that you just consume that thing over here and create the connector for you. Okay, so this is what we created, Contoso MCP demo. And now if we go here into our agent, I'm just turning off both of this connector at this point. Okay, and now I'm adding a tool again here. I'm going to MCP again, and now you can see this is available now, Contoso Lead Management Server. And now if you click on that, it will show you to create a connection. So click on create a new connection, click on create, add and configure. And as soon as you do this thing, that connector will be available over here to use. Okay, right now this connector, I mean, earlier they have hosted, but right now they haven't. Now what happened here is, right now if you even look at this thing out over here, it is not showing you any tools over here. Okay, that method that we have exposed over there, it's not available because right now actually it is not hosted, but they just provided that as a mechanism that okay, if you are having that kind of YAML file as well for MCP server, that is the way to connect with that external sources within the Copilot Studio, which will make the entry point to your server and make that call happen for you. Okay, so this is how this type of custom or external sources you can able to connect this thing out. Okay, still tool is something we are not able to test it yet because of that first demo was failed. When I was making a query, it was not working as expected, so still you are not able to understand how it make the decision to call a tool and all, but we'll talk about that in a while. Okay, but this is how the overall concept is looking like. Now as I said, right, this is like a lead management server. Now just search on the internet, Google MCP server. Okay, and you can see this. Just a minute. Google Analytics. This is Google Analytics MCP server. Okay, so sometimes you want to use your MCP server, I mean Google Analytics data into your Copilot agent and want it to work in natural language. They have provided this ready-made option over here. You just click on setup Google MCP server. They have this whole API endpoint, everything, and these are all the tools. These are all the prompt, okay, available over there. And what are the prerequisites in order to configure that? They have provided that. So it's just a matter that this kind of JSON files and this type of configuration files that they are offering you at the end, which you can consume and utilize it for yourself. Okay, apart from that, like even if you search over here like Google Maps MCP, okay, people have started building up this as well. So many ready-made things are available. It's just a matter, I mean, again, these all the servers here specifically, there are some code-based programming is available over here. It is just saying you to host on the local and utilize it out. But there are many ready-made are also available which are already hosted like an API. You just buy it and make it happen. Okay, so different companies has started the development around that in order to make that happen. Okay, now over here, like still I'm pretty sure because we haven't seen the results, so you will not be able to relate it out right now. I'm 100% sure that how it is calling the appropriate tools from there. Okay, so let me take a simple example over here. Hopefully that will work absolutely fine as expected or as I'm planning. Okay, but before that, let me just take here a pause. At least what is MCP and what are the things we can achieve with that. At least that part is clear for you. Maybe just give me some reactions, or maybe I would like to pause here for a moment and take the questions over here, so that of course, like when we connect some more MCP servers in today's class itself, you will get some more better understanding around that how it is working. But at least at overall, let's say I talked from last 1 hour, right? At least 30-40% if you are able to understand or something, maybe just give me the reaction. So at least I understand so far everyone is uh, following with me. Or if you have any question, please raise up your hand. I'm happy to take the questions from here. Okay. I can see first raise hand from Anand. You have a question? Anand, you have any question?
Yes, Dhruvin. Yes, Dhruvin.
Yes,
So I was
please.
asking about like if we have MCPs available on internet, means like Google thing and everything,
Yes.
then I think so this plays the knowledge part.
So knowledge part means
Knowledge
knowledge base. You
means
are
like
talking about
in
this?
in the knowledge base we configure about like public facing website or that and that things,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So means like MCP is a package LLM, the tool and the source what it is, right?
Correct.
So we can have cross LLMs in one platform.
Yes, that's correct. So what happened is just imagine this Contoso MCP, right? That we connected right now. Just imagine that Contoso MCP is developed on the DeepSeek model. Okay. And on that Contoso lead management, they have 5 tools, 2 knowledge sources, 3 prompts, okay, in that particular overall package. Now, what happened is currently the limitation here is Copilot Studio only show you tools, means 5 tools that are available as a part of that MCP. It will expose you here and you will be able to call that out. In future, they will introduce some more capability here itself that, okay, with tool you have knowledge as well. So if that MCP has any other knowledge source configured on top of the DeepSeek, you will be able to see those knowledge bases as well over here. Okay. And let's say for an example, there are any prompts that they have used over here, it will be available as a prompt over here as well. So tools, knowledge, and prompt. This is like a package part as a package in a MCP. So currently this integration only support the tool. So if your MCP server has any tool, then only it will be available and you will be able to make a call on that. But if your MCP server is using some knowledge sources, you will not be able to see it right away. It will not directly search it from here at this point. That is the limitation. But nowadays, what people are doing is they create one tool. So let's say, for an example, your knowledge source is Dataverse. Just assume that, and let's say it is on top of DeepSeek. Okay, so what they usually do is they create one tool method over there that create a record or update a record or list the database or something. Okay, so when you make a query, it will automatically call that appropriate tool and according to that it will perform the action and show it to data. So this is how that they do. But right now from that package, final package, you can only able to utilize tools at this point in Copilot Studio. Hope
So
that this is
what kind of benefits? Yeah, what kind of benefits it will cross-platform LLMs? That is benefit. And as you
yes, that
said
is
in
the
the
benefit. Yeah,
beginning,
that is the benefit.
as you said, uh, so when you server configuration one career path, this what we did is a server configuration.
We
Or
just did the
yes,
consumption of that. We are just a consumer. I'm talking about if career
yeah,
path, if you are taking that, okay, if you are someone who are right now doing some API development, right? Or you are a hardcore developer, maybe you need to start learning about the MCP server development from scratch because that will be the huge in demand in the future,
okay,
right? Because let's say this Contoso MCP, you are just a consumer, so you consume it, right? Now, let's say in future I come across with the requirement that okay, I want to connect my some sort of language model from Amazon, which is hosted on AWS, and maybe they have different more method to order a product or maybe to check the booking status or something, right? Or
hmm,
just consider an example of logistics where they have the delivery system in place, and I am the I have
correct,
my front end somewhere in my application. Now I need the natural language capability, right? Then I'll ask them that, okay, give us your MCP.
okay.
Currently, how we are asking, does your API endpoint is available to consume? This is how we are
REST,
asking nowadays.
yeah.
Yes. Currently, we are asking in
Can
this
we
way.
say
If you
RESTful
check,
API?
no,
Can
we
we say
can't say
RESTful
that. No,
API
no, no,
is equal
no,
to AI of
no,
MCP?
no, 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 absolutely not. Because MCP is not only API. MCP is LLM plus knowledge source
Tool.
plus prompt plus
Tool.
tool. This four combination. In this four combination, somehow there are APIs. It can be included, but MCP is not equal to
Okay.
API 100%, but it's this entire four thing. Okay, hope you are able to relate now.
I am able to relate it now. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay,
Fine. But
perfect. Yeah.
also load it, means like this also load the agent also, right? Means like it a heavy one. Let's suppose we are not getting from the MCP itself, then our agent will not affect the current scenario, right? We have to be dependent on the MCP server people, means like whoever is the company like Google API, Google MCP, to be dependent on him.
So your question is, I mean, your question is about the agent or your question is about the MCP? Actually, your voice is in between breaking, so I'm not able to relate your question completely. If you repeat,
Okay,
please.
I will give another person ask the question. I'll type my question in there.
Okay,
No problem.
okay. I can see Raisen from Rashmi. You have a question.
Hey, hi Dhruvin. I did not get the concept of streamable MCP and the other one.
So look, even I don't know that concept, how actually it works behind the scenes, because I am not that MCP subject matter expert. Uh, this is just understand in this fashion that there are two transport type which they are providing, streamable and uh, second one is SSE. Okay, now what exactly it does at architectural level, even I don't know. But what Microsoft is saying that okay, use streamable as much as you can. I try to do some more research around that as well before this particular class, but it's something
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not somehow personally I'm not be able to relate like okay, how can I explain, because it's too much in detail that how streamable work. If someone from Power BI, there are some streamable data sources available. Okay, so streamable data sources means like your like your live connection kind of thing. Here I can relate it somehow, that kind of thing, that SSE and streamable. So streamable is more like live changes of your MCP, which will be going to be reflect on the fly. That's what I concluded from visiting 4 or 5 videos from the YouTube on the MCP server, but not like in detail I know about it, like streamable and SSE. For me, it's just like I'm a consumer, so I just like okay, if it is streamable, then it is good. But maybe if I know something better on that, or maybe I'll create some example around that, maybe I'll share in the future. But at this point, I don't have your answer on that. But architecture wise, what is difference? Honestly, I don't know. The simple difference which I know is live versus a little bit stale connection. That's what I know in between these two types. Okay,
Okay, okay, no problem. Thank you.
perfect. Thanks. Okay, yeah, let me check the chat window. Maybe Anand, if you didn't type, or maybe if you want to speak your question, I'm happy to. I don't see any more raise hand right now. Okay, I do not see any more raise hand at this point. Okay, so now let's just explore a couple of out of the box available MCP servers. Okay, and let's create some use cases around that. So at least this tool part is something which you will be able to relate more around. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just closing everything that I am having on my screen, and now I'm just creating one more agent. Click to configure and MCP out of the box. Click on create and let's see what will happen. We'll wait for a moment. And let's go to the setting after that. Once it's created, and let's turn off the general knowledge. So it will not just use any general knowledge for ourselves. Turn off general knowledge, click on save. And now let's go back. And now let's try to explore the agent. So when you go to the tools section over here and click on add tool, these are all the out of the box MCP protocols available. So couple of them we already know about it. Like some of them are Outlook related action, like contact management. Then there is one more available like meeting management, MCP server. Okay, or if we are looking at email management MCP server. So this is basically managing the different contacts. This is different meetings related thing, different email related stuff. Okay, apart from that, there is a Dataverse MCP server also available. So if you are having any Dataverse table and all, you can simply call this Dataverse MCP server and just make it happen. Okay, and same way, like if you are having some Salesforce connectivity, GitHub connectivity, Dynamics 365 connectivity, these are the some of the ready-made server available. Now, what use case we are going to look at this now is smart calendar assistance functionality. Okay, and for that, what I'm going to do here is I'm just wanted to do one thing that okay, I need a flexibility over here in a fashion that someone wanted to book any meeting with me, or I want to create any new meeting invite from my chat agent itself, or maybe already I do have any meeting for today or not, or maybe I just wanted to ask any question related to my meetings, right, in a natural language. Okay, at the time, maybe I can just use this MCP server. It has so many different methods natively itself, which is able to answer you that out. Okay, so I'm just using this plug and play MCP server for meeting management. So I'm creating one scheduling assistant for myself. So I'm just configuring this. Click on add and configure. Okay, so it's done. It's meeting management MCP server. So I'm just clicking on advanced option and authentication. I just want to use maker provided, means this account credential I wanted to utilize it out over here. Okay, and now you can see the power here. See the tools, there are different methods are there, right? So you can see that get calendar, view meetings, get rooms, accept meeting invites, decline meeting invites, tentatively accept it, update meeting, create meeting, right? This is all the things which this MCP server is able to create. Okay, so again, this MCP server is created by Microsoft themselves and available as a native connectivity. Now, what is the beauty here, guys? Not only just this one way. Okay, just imagine you are in your chat GPT, right? From your chat GPT, let's say you want to use this MCP server, you can connect that as itself. Okay, because it's a cross platform. MCP is a model context protocol which is available on any cross platform, which means that if Microsoft has provided the endpoint for this MCP server somehow in any documentation, and if you want to connect your chat GPT with this MCP server, yes, you can able to connect that. Let's say if you are having any AI application called Claude is another application like chat GPT. If you want to connect your MCP server over there, you can connect over there as well. Okay, so there are different ways. So MCP server is not just thinking that okay, it's available here, so only in the Copilot studio I'm able to create. Maybe let's say for an example, Air India has their own AI system built on DeepSeek, and let's say if they want to consume this MCP server meeting management, they can call this MCP server from their end as well. So that's why they just provided as a universal. So it come up with the tools, knowledge, and prompt. And in Copilot Studio right now, only it exposes tools. Behind the scene, if there are any knowledge source or prompt, it will not. Only the tools are available at this point. So it's showing all the tools to me. Okay, perfect. So I'm having this over here. Now, what can I do here is meeting management MCP server. You just provided this stuff. All good. Here I don't want to provide any other things. And now let's click on save. So this will basically saving this detail over here. Now let's go back and now let's make a prompt over here. Give me the details of today's meeting. Okay, let's see what it will give me the answer. And I'm just turning on this uh, one as well, my activity map, and see what it does is it simply make a query over here. So what it did, it just initialized my MCP server and it find the different methods over here. It knows that which method to call over here, right? And what it is saying me that, okay, first it get the calendar over here. So it make this call, somehow it pick up the calendar. Then it automatically decided that you ask for the meeting, right? Now it is asking that what is the end time in UTC for the calendar of meetings you want to retrieve, right? So I will say that UTC, I would say today UTC 12 a.m. Okay, I'm just making like this kind of stuff. And now it is saying me that it just didn't understand the whole prompt. Just a minute. It's asking me the parameter. Maybe let me just make it like this. I'm just resetting this now. Let me make a prompt a little bit change. I'm just meeting like get my meetings for today. Let's see. Find the calendar. And see, this is what it is giving me over here. So what it is saying me that it automatically identify the thing, and you can see how it executed this completely in the activity map, right? First, it initialize your MCP server, it get the calendar, it automatically decide that which method or which action which are available as a part of MCP server I need to call here. And according to that, it starts making those calls and giving me this result that okay, Copilot Studio 23 today I had this one meeting in my calendar. So it just give me this whole detail over here in front of me. Okay. Now let's say if I'm asking some more question over here that okay, I want to schedule a meeting with one of the person. Let's say I'm just making that schedule a meeting with contact. Contact is one of my user account. Okay, contact on 17th August between 4 to 5 p.m. IST. Okay, I'm just making this kind of natural prompt. Let's see what it will do. Okay, so it just calling this. Yeah, what time zone you want it to be scheduled in? So IST I'm just providing over here. Which calendar? I'm saying like my calendar. What is the subject of the meeting you want to create? So let's say if I'll say MCP discussion. Okay, let's see what it'll do and see this is what it created at the end. Your meeting discussion has been scheduled on this between 5 and 5. Now let's see whether it's actually created or not. So let me open up my calendar now. So I'm just going to my Teams. Okay, so let me see. Okay, and what date I have supplied over there? August 17th, right? So August 17th, and see this is what it is, MCP discussion. And this is what 4 to 5 p.m. This is exactly it created for me, right? So this is how it just pick up the stuff for me and do it the thing, right? This is the flavor what MCP is giving to you. Okay, now just imagine, now just think about the traditional way of agent development, right? Generally what happens is MCP server has all these common methods available, right? What's the power come up over here? Like it understand the natural language, because ultimately the way this whole MCP server is built, it is somehow on large language model. So whenever you make this query over here from this client, it goes to the MCP server. It just look at its tool, knowledge source, prompt that are behind the scene. Currently it look up only tools. it decide that okay, from this whole method what method to call, and depending on that it is giving you the answer automatically. Okay, so this is the way, I mean, and now the thing is that all these methods that you are able to see here, this is not managed by us. Okay, it's managed by that MCP server. So if any code level change happen, you don't need to do anything. Your consumption is not going to be changed anywhere. You know, when you make the query, it always pick up the latest MCP server code, execute it, and give you the answer accordingly. Now you don't need to care that okay, how this MCP server is built, whether this is based on the DeepSeek plus tools combination, or maybe it's Claude plus or maybe it's a Sonnet behind the scene, what large language model is that. You don't need to worry about that. Just you are able to consume it and make it happen over here. Okay, so this is what the actually this is a good test case. At least we are able to test this out over here. Okay, now same way, let's explore one more thing here, that okay, this is one meeting MCP server we connected, right? Let's connect one more MCP server over here. So I'm just going to model context protocol, and this time I'm connecting Dataverse MCP server. Okay, so I'm selecting this Dataverse MCP server, click on add and configure. Now this is where you will be able to relate more. This is natively available, and now see, these all are the method which are available at the Dataverse level, which you can expose it out, right? You don't need to write anything. Earlier, how it was happening, guys, you know, when we are making want to check any status for any request for the booking ID and all, we were writing the topic, we were writing the whole method, everything, right? Now with this MCP server, again, this is like at your entire Dataverse level. So whatever you will define, depending on that, it will automatically decide that, okay, what tool to call, what method to call, and what type of answer to give. Okay, so this is your Dataverse MCP server. Now let's go back, and now let's make one query. I'm just resetting this thing out. And now I'll tell them that tell me how many users I have. Okay, let's see what kind of answer it is giving me. First, we need to connect it out because it's a Dataverse. Dataverse has some native table, out of the box table like account table, contact table, right? I'm just trying to make the query on top of that. And again, I need to do one change over here as well. That okay, go here, just use the maker provider credential. I don't want end user to enter the credential. And now it answered me already here. You currently have 142 users in your system, and this is what it is showing to you. And even in your activity map, you can see it what it did. It called the Dataverse MCP server over here. It automatically decided that I need to look at my sources over here. It just lists out all the table over here, and from that table, it knows that I need to make the system table, and it make this query automatically, and it's just giving you the answer over here. Okay, now let's say if you say that give me the detail for the for Thruvin from user table. Okay, let's see what it come up with me. Okay, it read the query. It makes this thing, and see, this is how it give me the answer completely out, right? Just a natural language. You call your MCP server, and MCP server is doing all this activity for you. Okay. Let me ask one thing over here. Let me check if I have any other tables available in this environment. And again, like currently this MCP server that you are connecting, it can be only applicable for this particular environment where you are configuring. Maybe in the future it come up with a cross environment capability as well. And again, like this is you are doing in the Copilot Studio right now. Okay, but let's say if you are connecting the same database server onto other application like ChatGPT or Claude or any other AI tool. Okay, at the time, again, there is a whole bunch of documentation that how to consume this MCP server over that part as well. Okay, so those kind of capabilities are there. Let me see if I have any tables. We have the booking table, I think, as far as I know, but let's verify this. by going to the Power Apps part, and let's try to make some more additional query over here. But this is the general idea, like how MCP server looks or how MCP server works. Okay, let's say if I go to the tables over here, if you have any system table, custom table, everywhere it will work. If you go to the custom table, okay, IT help desk agent, I have here IT manager. Maybe let's see sales, right? Let's see if we have any sales data over here. Okay, let me just do this thing. How many sales record I have? Okay. It will start making the call. It just making the server call. It just making the connection, and you can see that you have 57 record in your sales table. It's just giving you the answer very nicely over here. Okay, and if you just need more details or breakdown of the record, just tell me. Yes, please do. When you type this, let's see what it will do for us. It understand that context, read the query, and see it started answering all 57 record summary to me over here into this fashion. First 20 it just print it out, then it is saying that okay, if you need another one, maybe let me know. So you can just tell it and it just giving you the answer like that. Okay, so this is what the overall concept of MCP server looks like. So what we did first of all in this journey, we first understand what is MCP server, what you can achieve with that. Second, we did is all out of the box MCP server like this Outlook one or this Dataverse MCP server, right? For that, we are at least able to get the result. Custom MCP server, we try to connect the knowledge source via GitHub as well as we did the YAML code as well, but none of them is in working fashion because we don't have hosted it somewhere. But at least we know the methodology that what's the behind the scene idea on those MCP server. Maybe in the future, I'll try to find out some free MCP server available because this particular hosting is also require lots of uh, subscription and money. So I mean, for testing purpose, very few things are available on the internet at this point because not everyone is doing it right away. In background they are doing, but not like in a public internet it's available. So it's very rare to find the use cases around that. But hopefully this learn use case at least will work in the future. But this is how you can do it, and this is the entire thing about the MCP in the world of Copilot Studio. Okay, and this is what I wanted to talk about so far. We connected our first MCP, native MCP client available, and smart calendar one, which we just connected over here. Okay, now I would like to pause here for a moment. If anyone, so what's the main final takeaway from this whole exercise is it just simplifies the tool knowledge integration with LLM and reduce the repetitive code, and it just enable the scalable and modular application design and early stage tech with the high future potential. Okay, I would like to pause here for a moment. Anyone has any question on this MCP or maybe did not understand maybe how actually it looks like and all, maybe just give me the raise hand or maybe at least give me the reaction, at least able to understand this overall. Okay, I can see raise hand from Raj. You have question?
Yes, Dhruvan. So you said what we can do with this, what we cannot do with this, like, any limitations around anything.
So the simple answer is what you can do is right now you can only connect the tools from the MCP server. So you cannot connect any knowledge bases or any prompts from the MCP server. So even if there is any third party MCP server and it uses some knowledge sources, it will not support that. But if there are any tools method, of course, you can able to explore that out. Again, like with respect to the thing is that like this is having more dependency on how MCP server is built upon. So let's say for an example, PayPal or maybe any payment provider are having some sort of payment APIs or payment thing integrated in the MCP server. Over here, the biggest risk is MCP server is based on the user context or maybe what user is typing, based on that it is responding. So sensitive information, like sometimes it's I mean, you just need to think about in this fashion that if you are having very sensitive process that can impact any kind of financial transaction and all, until it becomes stable or until it's not acceptable, worldwide in a proper fashion, try to avoid the MCP, because right now even payment providers doesn't started rolling out MCP because they also know the complexity behind the scene. Because when you type something and let's say MCP is understanding something different and something behaving different, or maybe users are injecting some sort of queries in a fashion that makes MCP confused, right? It can behave different. So, I mean, non-sensitive areas which is not impacting a business a lot, and like this kind of thing you can do it with the MCP. But sensitive thing, I would still say wait for some time until it becomes stable and more acceptable. Don't use it for sensitive operation for your businesses. That's what my take so far by looking at the overall MCP architecture and overall MCP use cases so far.
Okay. Another thing is, I don't know, somehow I'm feeling a sense of, is this, can we say like advanced version of the web services? Like,
Yes, you can not
right?
exactly like that, not exactly that
Semi like,
advanced version of the. It's just a matter that this is the main thing. Like not like web service we can tell 100%, but it's like your web service plus all these things, your knowledge, your tools, and plus your prompt. These all plus your any server calls. So yeah, somehow technically, if you want to relate it out, you can say for me it's just like a custom connector, but custom connector has so many different thing into that, like so many methods we need to integrate by our own. Here you don't need to do any such effort. It's just like a ready-made available everything. Yeah,
yeah, right. Okay.
that's
Thank
the
you.
case. Yep. All right. Anyone else has any other question? Okay, or maybe just give me the reaction. So at least so far you are able to understand this concept for whole MCP. Hope I'm able to deliver it properly. Maybe just give me some reactions. At least you are able to relate me so far with this whole conceptual learning that we have done with MCP. Okay, perfect. All right, now we'll go one more level up from here, where we'll talk about next futuristic terminology called multi-agent capability in the world of Copilot Studio. Recently, if you have heard or if you have listened one podcast from Satya from Microsoft, according to his that particular podcast, the future is all about like people will create the different agent for different work. It's like how you are train your junior developers, right? Same like you are creating a task force for your own to manage your different activities. Just imagine in the previous class, we have used one multilingual agent which is doing the translation of the in which language you are asking the question. Depending on that, it is answering to you. Okay. Now, just imagine that was the Dubai travel example we have taken in the previous class. So if I make a query that, okay, I want to visit 5 day Dubai trip, it will give you the itinerary. Okay. But the tasks are not completed here. Maybe if I get this information, maybe I need now more information on the visa. That okay, now I'm planning this vacation. Now I just want to know more about the visa thing. That okay, what is the pricing or costing of the visa, or how much minimum visa I need to take it out? What's the pricing around that? How can I apply for the visa, right? I do have this kind of thing. Now, think like a human. Whenever you go to any travel inquiry as well, right, they are having different department. Like one person is doing your initial thing, like you tell them that okay, I want to visit Dubai. He will explain you that these are the places, these are the plan, blah blah blah, everything. Now when you ask to the visa, that person probably don't know those answers, so they will tell you that okay, this person is my expert, maybe I will connect you with them, maybe just ask them all the question, and then that person is helping to you, right? Now you are in the same cabin or same travel person's office, right? But only thing is that different person is doing different activities because they are the expert or they are trained to do those tasks efficiently, right? Now when you go to any bank, right, so when you go to the passbook filling, right, there is a specific counter for that. Only on that counter that activity is happening. Now if you go to the fixed deposit counter, they will not print your passbook, right? They will tell you that go to this particular part, right? Similar way, this entire concept is available in the Copilot agent as well. There are two ways to create multi-agent capability. Now I'm going to explain you both the things in detail. Okay. Now just imagine, let me go back to the previous example that we created in the previous session, which is my travel mate. Okay. And at the time we just connected, let me just do one quick thing over here. Just give me a minute. I just did some testing before this class. Let me just remove it so you will not get any kind of confusions over here. Okay. So what I'm doing here is, first of all, this is my travel mate, and we know that when you ask any travel inquiry related question, basically this is how we have started our conversation last time. Okay. Now this particular agent's task is, it just give you the information of the Dubai tourism right now. Okay, so it will just giving you the detail of all the different vacation related queries that you have and provide you the itinerary for that activity. Okay, let me just do one quick thing here before we start. Okay, so this is where we were at that point. Okay, so when you are saying that, okay, select your language, I'm selecting English. It just, then I'm just saying that, okay, book a holiday. It will ask you that what's your name. You say Dhruvin. Then you are saying that, okay, what's your email address? d@gmail.com. And maybe after that, it will just ask you the phone number. So you enter your phone number, and then it will ask you which places in the Dubai you want to visit. I'll say Abu Dhabi and Burj Khalifa. I'm just saying these two things, and then it will say you that how many nights you want to say. I'll say 2 nights, and depending on that, it just create a summary. It just look at the knowledge source, and it will just give you the full itinerary over here. That 2 nights what you should do versus what not. Right now, this is what it is giving me at this point. On top of that, now I wanted to do the visa agent, visa related query. Okay. For that, what I'll do here is, I'll not just connect it over here. Okay, because on visa side there are many things. This, the one agent is doing this thing. It is always a good practice that if you want to do multiple tasks to be performed by the agent, maybe it's a good practice that you can combine into multiple agent. So this person is only doing this initial inquiry, initial information. When they ask anything to visa, it calls the another agent. And for that, there is an amazing functionality available called multi-agent capability. For that, you need to go to the agent section of your agent, and there is an option there, add an agent. Okay, when you click on add an agent, the very first option is available over here is create an agent. Okay, and this is called as a lightweight agent that lives inside your current agent and inherit its settings, and ideal for breaking down the complex logic. As I said that first it will do the initial inquiry, and for visa I want to create another one. Okay, so I'm just creating another agent within this travel mate agent now. Okay, so I'm creating one more agent over here. Okay, and when you do this thing, first of all, you just need to provide the name of the agent. So I'm just providing that, okay, visa agent. Okay, and when this to be used. Okay, so there are different options that when this agent to be called. Okay, there are multiple options available. Okay, number one is the agent chooses based on like when a message is received, or when a custom client event occur, or when activity occurs, or when conversation change, or when it's revoked, or when it's redirected to, or when it is inactive for a while. When you want to trigger this thing out, you need to decide that over here. Okay, so what I'm doing here is, I'm just not providing any particular thing. They have provided this option. Okay, like let's say for an example, when you see that, okay, when any specific message is received from your chat prompt, and at that time you want to trigger it out, okay, you can choose this thing out. Okay, but what I'm doing here is I'm just simply choosing here, I will use the power of the natural language. I just don't want to be very specific that it should be call from only topic, or it should only call from any kind of message is receiving, or any kind of activity is happening. I don't want to do that. What I want is the agent chooses based on the description. So whatever description I will provide it here, based on that I want to make the decision that when this should be triggered. Okay, so what I'll do here is I'll simply supply some sort of little bit description over here. When someone asks any visa related question, use this agent to answer. Okay, you can just provide in the natural language. Simple. Click on save over here. All right, once you save it, there is a thing, obviously you just need to provide the instruction over here and knowledge source as well. So for this particular example, what you will do here is we'll simply expand that to one more level, where main our agent is travelmate agent, and this is another public facing website which is having visa specific thing. Okay, so this is my another knowledge source, UAE visa.ae. This is where they can get all the visa information. So what I'm doing here is I'm just treating my child agent with that knowledge. So this is my child agent. I'm consuming public website. I'm providing this source, and I will say like visa information. And this knowledge source provide the information for UAE visa. Click on add to agent and connect your child agent with this knowledge source. Same way you can add a tool as well. If let's say for an example, if you just wanted to make this inquiry somewhere into your SharePoint and all, and if you just want to store it, you can do that as well. Okay, but right now what I'm doing here is simply I will provide some instruction. When someone asks you any visa related question, please use your knowledge source and give the answer in friendly and easy to understand tone. Okay, just provide like this, click on save. So you provided this instruction, that's it. So your child agent is created. So when you go to the agent now, this is your main parent agent travelmate. Underneath that you have your visa agent. Okay, now what you need to do is go to the overview section, and already you have set up the instruction for your main travelmate agent, right? You can just edit this thing out, and now you just need to add one more line of instruction over here, that when someone asks you any visa related question, call this agent. Now you need to provide the agent name that you created. For that, use the slash. As soon as you click on slash, it will expose all your agent over here. So over here you can see, click on your agent, and overall here you will see your visa agent. You need to make sure you will add that. Otherwise, when someone make a query, didn't understand that, okay, visa related question, I need to call this agent. Okay, so you just need to provide that instruction. And again, whenever you are having child agent, and if you want to provide any connection over here with the child agent, simply use the slash. As soon as you do that, it will open this, and after that you can see your appropriate child agent from here. Okay, so I'm just providing this, that's it. Now let's click on save. Okay, so I just provided this information and it created the agent for me. Okay, now what happened here is I will just do one additional query over here. And I'm just providing over here that now with can you please provide me more information with the visa, like how many days of visa I needed and cost for the visa. Okay, let's see if it is able to answer me or not. So when you hit enter, let's see, let me turn on the activity map as well. And you can see it automatically called the visa agent and it started looking the information, and now it will show you the result over here to you at the end. And this is what it giving me the summary. See, and what it did is your 2-night holiday in the Dubai, the most suitable visa option is 7-day single entry tourist visa. The visa cost approximately 105 US dollar with an additional service like this and this, and provided perfect information. And you can see here as well, it calling your second agent, which is your child agent, and giving you the information. Okay, now let's say for an example, if you are someone, let's say I'm just having my SharePoint now, Copilot use cases. Okay, and let's say over here I have one list called visa inquiry. Okay, now what I'll want to do, or what I want to extend this use case as one more level as, okay, when you go to your child agent, of course you make a visa inquiry, but with that I also want to add one tool to create an entry into SharePoint list with all these details. So at least at the end I will get to know that, okay, how many visa inquiries I received so far, right? So you can connect your tool as well in your child agent. So you just pick up this, and we know that SharePoint as a connector also already available. So search for that. And over here, there is an option create item. Just use this out, add and configure to this child agent. Okay. And I will, and this is in your child agent. Okay. So I will say, just rename this create item for visa inquiry, create a new item for visa inquiry. You just provide your site address. So I'll just choose the Copilot Studio use case. List name, let's just provide it custom value. And this is where it is coming from my visa inquiry. And input, I just need to provide here like title column. Then I will provide like, I have 3 columns, visit days and number of places. Okay. So I'll just apply like visit days, places to visit, and visit days. Just apply that and click on save. Okay, so it just created, and again it will pick up the information from the AI directly, so no issues on that part. And now I'll just update my instructions here. So let's go back, and this is where my tool looks like. Go to the agent. This is your visa agent, and inside that you have this instruction, right? So just update the instruction. When someone asks you the visa related question, please use your knowledge source and give the answer friendly and understand tone. Also, in the background, create an entry in the SharePoint list using, you use this kind of slash as well, and it will show you the tool. Okay, and from that you can just pick it up like create an item from visa inquiry. You just supply that as well, so it knows that now I need to create an item as well. So I'm just providing this as a instruction as well in my child agent. Okay, so now this child agent will do two tasks. It provide this detail as well as it will create an entry into SharePoint list as well. Okay, let me do the same prompt again. Can you please provide me more information on the visa and how much cost of day visa is required? Okay, and let's see how it's behaving now. So see, it started looking at the stuff and it started creating an entry into SharePoint list as well. So it understand this natural language context and it created an item as well. So you can see it automatically uh, added the title, places to visit, and details over here. And now if I refresh my SharePoint list as well over here, see, it just created this entry over here that how many ways. So actually it captured that information as well. If you want to capture more metadata, you can, but it remember the whole conversation and appropriately it call appropriate agent and just make it happen. Just imagine now how much this powerful is. Now let's say this is one agent, right? Now in TravelMate you have visa agent, right? Now you can create one more agent as well, like booking agent. Okay, where you can do one thing that if someone want that, okay, they did inquiry and now they want to book it, right? So you can create another agent called booking agent. So in the inside that you can do all your booking related stuff and maybe whichever way you want to make it happen, you can just execute it out. Okay, or maybe let's say for an example with this, if you want some more information like hotel inquiry, so you can connect hotel inquiry agent as well over here. Okay, so this is like the functionality which is called as a child agent functionality within the main agent. Okay, so you can connect multiple agent depending on your need. Okay, but now the question arises that Dhruvin, I don't want to create like this way because the problem here is like this is my parent and inside that I'm creating the agent. Okay, and I can provide instruction, knowledge, and tools, and it will just behave it the way I wanted. Let's say for an example, I have a need that Dhruvin, I already have some Copilot agent created, independent Copilot already. Okay, now I want to create a wrapper on top of that, and I want to make sure that I can create one main wrapper and all the existing Copilot I wanted to utilize for my query. Can I do that? So yes, of course, you can do that. So that is called as another type of uh, stuff in multi-agent architecture. There are two type of things available in the multi-agent capability. One is child agent that we have just seen. So you have agent and inside that you can connect multiple child agent. Okay. Now second is connected agent. Okay, which is standalone and independent publish report, independent publish copilots, which you can connect and do the task the way you want. Okay. Now let me explain you how you can do that. Okay. So this is like your child agent. Okay, now let's talk about the connected agent. Now for that, let me just go to this environment and let me just go back to the previous use case that we have implemented. If you recall our class number 10, we have built two agents over at that time, pricement and auto PO creation. Okay, these are the two autonomous agents we created independently. So pricement was one agent which we trained with the Excel as a data source. And we were asking that tell me the price for this tool number and it will do the whole conversation and giving you the answer. Okay, this is the whole thing which we created last time. Okay, similar way we had another agent created like auto PO creation. So it was helping us to create a PO for us. So when you say that create a PO for this two item, it will just call that and it was just creating it for you. Okay, and now the thing is that both of these agents are already available. Now I want to create one multi-agent architecture where I want to create one more agent on top of that called quotation manager. Okay, so what happened here is I want to create one connected agent with the combination of price quotation plus auto PO creation, and I want to connect it both the together. And what I want is I want that one parent where supplier sends any query over there. What happen here is the main agent is your quotation manager. User will only interact with that quotation manager agent, and this particular agent will understand what user is asking and transfer it to appropriate agent depending on the question context. So let's say if I have asked them that, okay, create a PO for this particular uh, process, or create a PO for this new employment offer. So what happened here is it automatically understand that context and automatically call this agent, and this agent already have the instruction, it will follow that completely and do it over there. And let's say if there are any price related question, it will call this one. But at the root level, I only want to maintain the one agent. So front end will be one. It can able to handle multiple tasks. And again, it's like a standalone agents over there. Okay. So now how can I do this thing? Let's have a quick look around that. For that, what I'll do here is I'll create one more agent for myself, which is like a root agent, and where we will configure our two agents together, which is my pricemate agent and auto pre creation agent. Okay, but before that, we need to make sure both agents are published. So make sure you click on publish button here. It's already been published, but just as a part of the process, I'm publishing. If you do not publish your agent, you will not be able to utilize that inside your root agent, which you are creating it out. Okay, so you need to do this. Click on publishing and let it to be published. Also, we need to do one more change as well from the setting level. Let me show you that as well. Go to the settings. Okay, and over here, make sure this option is enabled for this agent, connected agent. Okay, and this is again in preview at this point. Let other agent to connect and use this one. Make sure this is on. If this is off, this agent will not be discoverable from other agent. So first of all, need to make sure this option is on, and then need to publish it out. Okay, so connected agent feature should be enabled over there if you want that agent to connect into some other agent. Okay, so we did this, and same way I'm going with my another one, auto PO creation. Okay, and now I'm going to the setting here. I'm going here and making sure this connected agent is on, because that is also something which I want to utilize into another agent. Click on cancel, and now let's publish this out. Publishing this agent. Let it to be. Okay, perfect. It's created. And now let's create a fresh agent. I'm creating one more agent over here. Hip to configure, and I'm providing my uh, agent name is quotation manager now. So let's say I'm providing the name quotation manager 1.0, and let's create the agent now. And let it to be created. It will take for a moment. It's created. Let's wait. Still this button is not enabled. Okay, we are done. And now this is enabled. Now what we need to do here is, first of all, we want to connect our standalone agent over here, which we already created. For that, I'm going to the agent option over here. Click on add agent. Earlier we used this option, right? This is your child agent concept, okay, or lightweight agent concept. And now what you are doing is this is your connected agent. So connected agent, if you want to connect existing agent already, then you can use this option, Copilot Studio, connect an existing agent, and it will show you list of all the agents which you have created so far. So I have created this much of agents, but it will only highlight the published one. So if it is published, then only you will be able to consume it out. If it is not published, then you will not be able to. So these two agents are published already. So I'm able to consume it out. So I will add this agent first. And over here, it will just keep all the description and agent details that you have already in that agent, and make sure you turn on this option as well, that pass the conversation history to the agent, which means that whatever question that you are passing or typing, right, that context is required in order to answer this particular stuff, right? So I'm just using this pass conversation history and click on add agent. And first let's connect our price mate agent over here, which is independent agent that we already built. Okay, done. All good. Same way, let's add another agent, which is my PO creation agent. So again, I'm going here, going to the Copilot Studio, and now I'm doing my auto PO creation agent. So I'm just doing this. I'm again keeping it as is and clicking on add agent. Simple, perfect. All right, I'm done with this. Now, this is my entry point, right? So how does this main agent, quotation manager agent, know that which agent do I need to call, right? For that, we need to supply an instruction. So let's go to the instruction, and now let's apply this out. So what I will provide as an instruction over here, that if someone asks you related any question for product price, then call to slash, and it will show you all the agents available. So go to the agent, and over here pricement, right? So I will just use this, then call pricement agent. Simple, this one line of statement. Then second line of statement, I am asking if a user, if someone asks you to create PO, then call slash, and you are able to see the agent, which is your auto PO creation agent. Okay, and I'll just provide that one line. Do not repeat the task, route intelligently based on your conversation history, or maybe let's not write anything right now. Let's provide these two and let's see how it behaves now. Okay, if it not behaves properly, we need to add some more instruction. This is again trial and test based error. Okay, so this is like your main agent. From that, you are having two connected agents. So you can see the word connected. This type of agents are called as a connected agent. Okay, and earlier one which we have created, it was your child agent. Okay, so if I go to the previous environment that we had, in TravelMate, if you go to here, this is called as a child agent. Okay, so there are two type of agents you can connect: child agent and connected agent. Connected agents are independent one, so which has topic and everything within it, topics, tools, prompts, knowledge base, anything. While child agent only has this capability, you can have knowledge and tools only. You cannot have any kind of topics if you want. Okay, so this is what it is. Now we are already here in the main agent quotation manager. Now let me ask the query, and let me open the activity map as well here. And now let me make a test query over here, that okay, send me the price of this two part. Okay, let me just ask this type of question over here. Please send me the price for this two part. Let's see what it will do here. Okay, and which agent it is calling. So see, it understand it. It just look at the price met agent. It looked at the knowledge source and trying to find out the answer from it. and will give us the answer over here. Let's see. But at least the routing is happened perfectly. So it understand that which part it answered, and it did this whole conversation and everything, because it just performed that entire activity. Again, you need to click on allow to send an email, because ultimately it is sending an email notification as well to the user. So let it to be. And this is what it is giving the final result as well as a summary, and probably it will just send it out. Okay, let me see my Outlook as well. Okay, and see, this is what I received here as well, the entire thing with me. Okay, so make a query and working as expected the way I wanted. Okay, now let me just make one more stuff over here. Please raise a PO for this request. Okay, maybe I'm just writing this type of thing. And now let's see what will happen. So it will automatically go to automatic PO creation, because I told them to create a purchase order, right? So it automatically pass that whole conversational history for it, and it will start making the uh, stuff over there, like part number, and it just added that out and will create a stuff over there, right? But at this point, it just didn't stop at this point. It is start calling it again and again, this thing, right? So maybe I need to provide one instruction, because this is what I don't want, that it continuously do the thing, right? So let's provide one more line of stuff, because it was continuously calling. It is creating an entry as well, but with that, it didn't stop that conversation, right? At that point. So what can I do here is I'll just add one more line over here, that do not repeat the task. So I'll say here, do not repeat the task, route intelligently based on your conversation history. I need to provide that. Otherwise, it will go into loop and call again and again the same one again. Okay. So now let me just type it again. So I will ask now one question over here, that please send me the price for this part. Okay. Let it to be do this whole activity from PriceMate. It just did this whole activity and will send me the email notification at the end. Let it to be. Okay, it did perfectly. And now I'll say that, okay, create PO for the same. Supplier would be Power Platform training. I'm just providing this kind of prompt. Let's see. It just go to the auto PO creation and see it call my SharePoint action. It just say me that what quantity you want. Let's say 5 quantity I want there. It just asks me this, and now unit price for each item. Let's say I would say $45, and it will just creating the PO for me. All right. And now it will just go for an approval and all, because it requires the whole approval process and all, because that agent is mean to do this whole activity. So it is doing and performing this perfectly the way I wanted, and creating the purchase order as well in the system, and it's working absolutely fine. And this time it didn't repeated the process. See, it just completed at this point over here, because we just provided that instruction that do not repeat the task. Otherwise it just going into loop and I mean calling it each other one by one. So now it stopped and working absolutely fine the way I wanted. Okay, so this is how the connected agent looks like over here. So sometimes you have the different agent and you want to connect all the agent together and wanted to build your final agent like this fashion. It will work. It is possible as well in the world of Copilot Studio. So now if I summarize this overall multi-agent capability as a theoretical part. So this is two things we did. This is our main agent and these are two are my connected agent, and what it does, we know that. Okay. And now theoretically, if we look at the multi-agent architecture, so this is what it is useful for. Child agent and connected agent, what is the difference? So it is part of the main agent, but it's both separate publish agent. Limited to the parent agent only. It can be you use in the multiple agent. Inherit settings, yes. Inherit settings, no. So that's the reason why, for Outlook, it was asking for the connection. But again, conversation history is pasted over there. For simple customization, you can do it with that, but more configuration required or maybe more complex tasks. Just imagine those both the autonomous agent will take almost like an hour to build it up, right? It is doing so many complex tasks. So better is okay, it's already there, use it out over there. Okay, it just break down the complex logic and it integrate the mature and independent agents over there, and same power platform environment only and same environment for the connection. Both are in the same environment only. It's not like currently it supports any cross environment. Okay, but this is the difference between child agent and connected agent. And this is what I wanted to talk about as multi-agent architecture concept. So this is what in that keynote was the highlight, that in future, this would be the things you are having so many different tasks to do with the different agent, and connect all the agent together and talk each agent one by one to each other. Okay, that is what you can do it over here. All right. So that's it all about the multi-agent architecture or multi-agent capability, which I wanted to talk about for today's class. And this is like a last example for today's class, which I wanted to talk about. There is one homework exercise I'm providing here as a part of this thing, where you want to build the IT help desk agent with the Dataverse MCP server. So if you recall in some of the previous classes, I give the similar example exercise as a homework to build the IT help desk with the Dataverse. I mean, you can store the data into Dataverse. You just need to expand that by connecting the Dataverse MCP server, and maybe just do the prompt that, okay, I want to create a help desk ticket with this information, and see how Dataverse MCP works and create an item into SharePoint database or not, Dataverse data source or not. Okay, so this is one exercise I'm just providing you as a part of homework. That's something you need to do. But this is all about connected agent and multi-agent architecture and MCP. These are again two main and big advanced topic, which is more future driven, of course, and much more functionality which you will be able to achieve with both of these things over here. Okay, so now I would like to pause here for a moment. If anyone has any question or anything, I'm happy to jump in and answer question on both of these topics. So stage is open for Q&A. Before that, just give me at least the reactions, at least this connected architecture, connected agent and child agent concept. If you are able to relate this out for yourself, maybe just give me some sort of reactions that everyone is following with me so far. Okay. So yeah, I can see first raise hand from Anand. Do you have a question?
Yeah, Rubin, one thing, like I have created this parent.
Sorry, what you are saying?
Yeah.
Your voice is breaking.
Now yeah, the parent agent is made where two child agents are called. Okay. Now, if after 3-4 days I'm making changes in and if I publish a parent agent, so the getting published will be done or not?
Yes, it will done automatically. So if you do any changes in the child agent in the future, which is your connected agent, if you make any published over here, those published changes will be automatically reflected over here. You don't need to do any extra activity for that.
Because one time it is attached and published, it will be attached in every other changes.
Yes,
From the parent we published will reflected in the child, right?
correct. That's correct. So let's say for an example, here you connected your price mate and auto PO creation. So that's the reason why Microsoft has considered here, like when you are connecting your agent here for the very first time, they are asking you to do the publish agent only. Okay, so it's already publish agent. So in future, if there is a change happening at this agent level, okay, it will automatically reflect here. You don't need to do any changes. I mean, you don't need to come to your parent and you need to do any configuration changes. It can be handled at that agent level independently. Okay. Yep. Anything else? Right, perfect. I can see raise hand from Rashmi.
Yeah, Dhruvan, how many child agents we can connect with the parent agent?
Uh, how many child agent you can connect? So you mean to say like you don't want to use connected agent, you are just having add tool, and here you are just using this option agent, add an agent and create an agent, right? This is you are talking about this one specifically,
Yeah,
correct?
those are the lightweight agents, right?
Yes,
The
yes,
lightweight
those are the
agents and the child agents are different.
no, lightweight agent is equal to child agent. This is called as a child agent. Okay. And if you are connect any existing agent, which is a
Mm-hmm.
standalone agent, this is called as a connected agent. Two words are different. Okay. Connected and child. These two are different. At this point, maximum 10 agent, 10
Okay.
agents you can connect it out. It's combining both. Okay, so if you are creating any lightweight or any
Mm-hmm.
existing one combinedly, maximum 10. That's the latest one, but hopefully in the future this is going to be increased, so maximum 10 at this point. Okay.
Okay, okay, thank you.
All right, anyone else has any other question, like not just from this two, but so far whatever learning that we have done, if you have any question or any confusions or anything so far, because this is the last part, I think, like the with respect to complexity wise. Apart from that, there is no any other complex topics missing over here. Apart from that, security and governance is a separate part. That's something we are going to do in next three classes. But agent creation part, this is like a highest level. Like apart from that, there is no other thing which you can do it over here until and unless if Microsoft rolled out some different things. But so far, this is what it is. Okay. Uh, I would like to just see the reactions at least till 13th class. If everyone is good with me or following with me so far or perform labs properly, or maybe just give me the reactions if you are with me so far. If not, probably you will be having like a week off. Like this week, we don't have any other additional classes due to festivity. And next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we are connecting where we'll talk about all the governance, security, and other thing on publishing and deployment. Okay. But apart from that, almost like most of the things we almost about to like 80-85% we finished it up. 15% is pending, which we will do in the next three classes. Okay. All right. I don't see any more raise hand. All good. I'm still here if anyone has any question. Otherwise, we are good to wrap up this class for today. Right. Perfect. I've stopped recording.